Hello everyone, here's another math video. Today we're going to talk about the foundations of Mathematics 12 in an hour worksheet that was handed out on Friday. If you haven't gotten yours yet, you'll get them on Monday, or you can check the homework site and they'll be up already. So basically what this is 8 written questions that I've selected to talk about because I think they represent the chapters pretty well. So the only topic that's really missing from here will be the regression material, which there is already a YouTube video for, so you can watch that on the channel. And so we're going to start with chapter 1. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the Tvm solver as much as I can to do these questions, because I think since you guys are going to have graphing calculators anyways for the test, this is a much easier way to talk about these questions. So we're going to start by talking about chapter 1 with Alex and Jamie, and each person having a portfolio. So Alex's portfolio consists of 3 parts: a 10-year $4,000 GIC that earns 2.6% interest compounded annually. So we're going to calculate the value of that right now. So remember that when you want to access the TVM solver, you hit Apps, you go to Finance, and you go to the Tvm Solver. On the older graphing calculator, there simply is a Finance button, so that will be pretty easy to find as well. Alright, so things you'll need to list. So on your actual exam, if this were a written question, you would show your work and write, n is equal to, and then I, and then PV, and then PMT, FV, and then payments per year, so P/Y, and compounds per year, which is C/Y. And we're going to have to do this multiple times, and we'll go ahead and copy that for now. So the first part is the 10-year $4,000 GIC. Since it's compounded annually for 10 years, so there will be 10 periods. The interest rate is going to be 2.6%, and you can just type that in as 2.6. You don't have to change it to 0.026 or anything like that. The present value is going to be $4,000, so it's going to be negative because that's the investment that you pay out. The payments are 0, of course, because you're not making any additional payments. The future value is what we're looking for. The number of payments per year and the number of compounds per year, you can just leave those as 1, just to make life a little simpler. And so on my calculator, I'm going to go 12, 2.6, negative 4,000, 0, and then 1 here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to future value and go alpha and solve, and that will give me $5,170.51. So that's pretty easy. Okay, the second part is a 5-year $2,000 CSB, so we're going to start by listing out all the values that we need once again. Okay, so 5 years, but it's going to be compounded semi-annually, so it's going to be 5 times 2. You can type this as 5 times 2. You don't have to multiply it first for the calculator. The calculator can do that for you. So next part is the 3.1 interest rate. The present value of $2,000. Oh, negative. Payment is 0. The future value. Okay, I just realized this is in the wrong spot. Okay, there we go. Okay, the future value we don't know yet, and then the payments and compounds, we can just leave those as 2. You can say that you can write this as anything really, but it's probably better to just leave it as 2, just so there's nothing that can really go wrong there. So n is equal to 5 times 2, that's 10. So that's good. 3.1% minus $2,000, payment 0, and it's semi-annual. So now I can go future value second, and then hit the solve button, and this will be 23, 32, and 54 cents. Okay. There's one more part of this. So the savings account that's deposits made into. Okay, looks like I'm going to run out of space. So I'm just going to move everything over a little bit. Okay. Okay, so last part. Savings account at 1.4% compounded weekly, into which he has been making weekly deposit of $15 for 5 years. So weekly deposit compounded weekly, 5 years, so 5 times, there's 52 weeks in a year. That's something that you are going to have to remember. I'm not going to write it down. So please remember that there are 52 weeks in 1 year. The interest rate is 1.4%. Now the present value is going to be 0 because initially there's no money there, and every month $15 is being paid into it. So you have negative 15 for the PMT. The future value is still what we're looking for, and the payments and compounds per year is both going to be 52 because they're both going to be weekly. So we can go ahead and change these numbers here. 5 times 52, 1.4, 0. Negative 15. Future value we don't know, and then here's 52 and 52. So second solve, and I get $4,039.18. Okay, so the current value of the portfolio, basically you're just going to add all these three together. So you can actually do that on your calculator. So 5170 plus 51 plus 2332.54 plus 4039.18. So the current value is going to be equal to $11,542.23. And then it says to calculate the rate of return, or who has a greater rate of return. So what you need to do here is you need to calculate the investment that was put in. So how you would do that is you first consider $4,000 for the first part, $2,000 in the second part, and finally last part is going to be 5 years of weekly payments of $15. So you will see that $9,900 was put in to the investment. So to calculate the rate of return, which I'm just going to write shorthand ROR, that's going to be equal to 11,542.23 minus 9,900, and that's going to be divided by 9,900, and the rate of return in that case will be 16.59%. Okay. So that's how you can do part 1, which is Alex's portfolio. Now let's look at Jamie's portfolio, which also consists of 3 parts. Okay. Here, the first part is a simple interest problem. So this is going to be A is equal to P times 1 plus RT. Right, and then the principal was $3,000 plus 1 times the interest rate as a decimal is 0.027 times the term, which is 10 years, which is gonna be $3,000 times 1 plus 0.027 times 10, and that will be 3,810. So $3,810 for that part. Just gonna move everything Just save a bit of space. Okay. Now for the second part of the portfolio, which is gonna be a 3-year $700 CSB that earns 2.8% compounded semi-annually. So 3-year times 2, interest rate is 2.8. Present value is $700. The payment is 0, and semi-annual, so it's 2 and 2. So it's very much like the first part here. The only difference really is the interest rate. So you hit Apps, Finance, Tvm Solver, 3 times 2 times 2.8. Oh, sorry. What am I doing? So 2.8, negative 700, 0. The future value we're looking for, that one, and then just 2's. So the future value will be $760.90. Okay, let's write that down. $760.90. Oh, it should be blue as well. And finally, the last part is gonna be another weekly payment kind of investment. So this time around, it's 1.7% compounded monthly. So this will be 12, and monthly deposits, so 12 here as well. So this will be 6 years of 12 months. Payments are $100 each. So present value is 0. The payment's 100, and then we're just going to go back to the TVM solver again. 6 times 12, and then 1.7, and then 0, negative 100, and then some 12s here. And then let's look at the future value. That's going to be 75, 74, 37. It's a lot of 7s. Here you go. 7574 point, I think it was 37. Yeah. Okay, so those are the 3 parts of Jamie's portfolio. So the current value, again, you can just add those together to find that out. So that will be 3810 plus 760.90 plus 7574.37. Okay, so it's $12,145.27. Investment. So how much was put in the first place? Okay. So that will be $3,000 bond plus the $700 CSB plus 12 months of 6 years of $100, which is that would be $1,000 more than the other investment. Okay, and then we're going to find out the rate of return, which is going to be the current value minus the investment divided by the investment. So same thing as part 1. So 12145.27 minus 10,900 divided by 10,900, and then we're going to multiply it by 100% to get 11.42%. 11.42. So you can see that part A has a higher rate of return compared to part B. Okay. And that's it for number 1. So let's move on to chapter 2. It's about Christian who wants to upgrade his backpacking equipment for the cost of $1265. So here's a couple of options here. So he intends to pay off what he borrows in 2 years, so we can figure out what his monthly payments are and whether he should use the credit card or his line of credit. So once again, we're going to need the Tvm solver. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this Tvm solver grid, which will make our lives a little bit easier. Okay. Oops. Here we are. Okay. Here. Okay, so he intends to pay back what he borrows in 2 years' time, so this will be 2 times 12. The credit card offers an interest rate of 13.5%. He borrowed a grand total of $12.65, but it's only 97% of that, and that's because as part of the credit card, he has an introductory offer of 3% off the first purchase, so this would be just 97% of what he needs to pay. The payment is what we're looking for, so we're going to leave it blank for now. The future value will be 0 because, of course, the intention is that he pays off everything. Number of payments per year will be 12, and the number of compounds per year will be 365 because it will be compounded daily. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to our Tvm solver. So here we are, 2 times 12 at 13.5%. 1265 times 0.97, which will give you 1227 and 5 cents. Payment we don't know. The future value is supposed to be 0, and the payment and the compounds are 12 and 365 respectively. So let's look at the payment, which is going to be $58.67. Okay, so let's look at the line of credit and see how much he needs to pay there. So again, it's 2 times 12 because it's going to be 2 years worth of payments. The interest rate is much lower at 6.8%. However, he does have to pay the full $12.65. The future value would be 0, and we'll have 12 and 365 at the bottom again. So what's the payment going to be? So $12.65, the interest rate was 6.8, and everything else stays the same. So the payment is going to be $54.82. I think. No, that's wrong. 6.8. No wonder that looks funny. Okay, let's try that again. So that would be $56.53. Okay, that's more correct. So there will be times when you're not careful and you get some kind of different answer than what you're supposed to get, and it's very important for you to show your work for your Tvm solver, because like that's all that I get to look at is what you wrote down. So if you wrote 3.8 here instead, I would know what kind of mistakes you make, and I can give you as much part marks as possible, or as you are supposed to be getting. So pretty simple question, this one, and then we just compare the two payments. Obviously the line of credit payment is lower, so that's the one that you're going to go with. There will be scenarios if you just borrow money for 6 months, for example, then it's maybe better to use credit card because of the 3% off and how it all adds up. But that's another question for another time. So that's it for chapter 2. So let's move on to chapter 3. And as you can see here, it's going to be a Venn diagram question. I'm not going to read over all this here. You can read it kind of on your own. But what you're supposed to do is try to fill out the numbers from the inside out, and then figure out what percent of students use at least one of these 3 forms of communication. So we're going to label these first, because that's always a good idea. So I'm going to go with cell phone, text, and social networking site. Okay, so the inside number is going to be 12, because it says right here 12% use all 3 forms of communication. And then that's the first part. Now the next 3 parts, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 12 from these numbers as we put in the appropriate places. And the reason for that is because, for example, 19% of people text and use a social networking site. That does not exclude people who use all three. So therefore, if you're looking at just texting or using a texting and using a social networking site, that would actually just be 7% of the people. 12 plus 7 is 19. Similarly, 18% call on a cell phone and use a social networking site. So that means 6% of the people use cell phone and a social networking site, but not texting. And then finally, 56% minus 12. And finally, 56% minus 12 is going to be 44. So 44 is going to go right here. Okay, so next part is going to be the outer circle. So we have done the first two layers, so to speak, and now we have the last little part. And so what we're going to do here is we are going to need to subtract all these numbers from whatever it shows here. So for example, 34% of the people use a social networking site, so we need to subtract the 6, the 7, and the 12 from it, because what goes in this box is just people who only use a social networking site and nothing else. So 34 minus 12 minus 6 minus 7, it's going to be 9%. 76% text, and then minus the 44, minus the 12, minus the 7 is going to be 13. And finally, 66% of people on the cell phone, minus the 44, minus the 12, minus the 6. And that's going to be 4. Now, that means inside of this circle here, these are all the different forms of communication that are kind of gone over in this question here. So whatever is left over is people who don't use these three forms of communication. So maybe they just talk to each other face to face, that kind of thing. So let's see. So that adds up to 95%. So 5% of the people will be outside. So to answer the question, what percent of students use at least one of these three forms of communication, the answer should be 95% of the students. So this question is here just to see if you know how to fill out a Venn diagram properly, and interpret the words and or and things like that on a Venn diagram. So that's it for chapter 3. We have chapter 4, which is on the counting principle. So this is the David and Susan math club question. I think we did this one in class, but I changed the numbers a little bit just because I want to go over it again, because this is one of the tougher questions from chapter 4. There are some easier questions as well, like how many different ways are there to make a breakfast if you have 2 different choices of drinks, 3 different choices of bagels or whatever. That's a pretty simple question, but this is one of the tougher ones involving the actual permutations and combinations. So I do want to go over these ones right here. So again, it's about David and Susan, who belong to a math club. 6 boys, 8 girls in the club. How many different ways can a 4-person committee selected from the 14 club members under each of these conditions? So the first one, there must be 2 boys and 2 girls. And we're going to start easy. So there are 6 boys. We're going to choose 2 of those. And then we have 8 girls. I'm going to choose 2 of them. And that will give us the answer. So let's just go to our calculator right now. 6, and then you press the math button, go to probability, and then you have the combination. Now, you are supposed to use combinations here because the order of which you choose these students does not matter. It's not like there is going to be certain positions within the club committee, president, treasurer, that kind of thing. Those don't exist. They're just committee members. So that's kind of how that one works. Second part, there must be at least 3 boys. So if there must be at least 3 boys, then we had either scenario where we go 6 choose 3 times 8 choose 1, and then we have the scenario where we have 6 choose 4 times 8 choose 0. Okay. So again, you go back to your calculator. 6 choose 3 times 8 choose 1. That's going to be 160. And the second one is going to be 6 choose 4 times 8 choose 0. So that's going to be 15. So that's 175. Okay. This one that's in a different color. There we go. David and Susan must be in the committee, so that leaves 12 people and 2 slots left, because David and Susan, of course, are in the committee already, so you only have 12 people left in the math club and 2 people that need to be selected. And that will be 66. And finally, last one, there must be more girls than boys. So, because you have an even number of committee members, there's only 2 scenarios for which that will work. 3 girls, 1 boy, and 4 girls, no boys. So that will be the 1 boy scenario, 3 girls, and the 4 girls scenario. Okay. So again, you go back to your calculator. In fact, if I just did this, that might save some time. There you go, 336 plus let's see this one, 70. Okay, so I think this will add up to 406. Yeah. And that's it. So that's the end of the first 4 chapters. I'll be putting together the next 4 chapter in a second video, just so I can put this one up earlier in the on today. And yeah, that's it.